Greetings, fellow humans. Katrina here. Quick disclaimer. I'm a professional, not your professional. Nothing about a say should be taken as medical, legal, otherwise advice. This podcast is purely for education and amusement. That is it. Disclaimer over. So I thought I'd talk today a bit about what I don't know about medical cannabis in relation to a few disorders, including ADD, ADHD, Tourette's, anorexia nervosa, bulimia, OCD, ADHD, and lastly, autism Asperger's, which, if you know, is now part of the autism spectrum, a childhood degenerative disorder, Rett disease, pervasive developmental disorder, and a few more. So this is just an excerpt, actually, from The Survivor's Guide to Medical Cannabis by Regina Nelson, Ph.D. I actually got to meet her at an event one time, and that's where I got her book. So her information is directly in relation to medical cannabis, and I'll start off with the top of page 167. Here we go. ADD, ADHD, Tourette's, eating disorders like anorexia nervosa or bulimia, OCD. So social stigma has many believing cannabis patients lack concentration and cognitive performance, but with many patients providing anecdotal testimony of its ability to promote focus, among other positive aspects, one wonders if social stigma has been misguided. Researchers have been considering cannabinoids as a treatment option after listening to anecdotal information. Certainly, cannabis is far safer than psychostimulants like Adderall or Ritalin, medicines that are molecularly indistinguishable from cocaine and methamphetamines, but which are prescribed at an enormous rate to children as well as adult patients. In- Interestingly, many patients come to cannabis therapy for another condition, such as cancer or like a seizure disorder, to find that it is helpful for a variety of conditions. So, ADHD and ADD are a very broad category of conditions that share some symptoms but appear to result from different underlying causes. Perhaps an endocannabinoid system deficiency is responsible. But that is just a hypothesis at this point in time. However, as imbalances in neural transmitter levels and functions appear responsible and the endocannabinoid system has an effect on this level, it may be quite probable. So cannabinoids potentially provide relief to many behavioral and mental focus issues observed in ADD or ADHD patients if dosed appropriately. So even if it's in its raw form, cannabis is able to provide the mental deceleration necessary for concentration in many patients. With regular low-dose cannabis oil program, most patients find even arduous tasks become more manageable and mood swings tend to level out, allowing a patient to live a more normal and functional life. Target a 1 milligram per kilo cannabis oil dose, indica dominant, THC rich, in conjunction with fresh cannabis juice, like 2 ounces per day, when possible. It says here to start slowly with suspensions or tinctures, increasing the dose steadily until symptoms become manageable. Most patients will find the symptoms under these conditions begin coming under control at a low dosage, but others may require a bit more. Vaporizing will provide acute relief when symptoms erupt, but is also highly beneficial for many. I want to go back to one thing that she said, and that is the dosage. She says target a 1 milligram per kilo cannabis oil dose. So that stood out to me. Last section is on autism, Asperger's, childhood disintegrative disorder, Rett's disorder, pervasive developmental disorder, and more. Adults who have lived with disorders like autism, Asperger's, or Rett's have testified to the relief cannabis provides for decades. Many patients report being chronic smokers of cannabis years before they came to cannabis therapy and found new and more effective ways to treat those conditions. Recently, parents of children suffering from these same disorders reported significant improvements in areas such as anxiety, aggressiveness, tantrums, meltdowns, and social appropriateness. Low doses of THC-rich indica-dominant FICO, and that's full extract cannabis oil, seem to provide the best outcomes. But CBD, that's the non-psychoactive component of cannabis, is of importance with these conditions. Consistent treatment for patients may be administered sublingually or by capsule. You would fill the capsule with a measurable low dose of oil, suspension, or tincture. CBD-rich and sativa-dominant cannabis oils frequently cause irritability and increase symptomology, whereas indica-dominant strains in very small initial doses appears to provide relief. Vaporizing will provide a near immediate effect, relieving symptoms that may erupt. Daily doses as low as 0.5 milligrams per kilo have been called, quote, life-saving by some patients. But as mentioned, dosing is based on individual needs. Though some find relief at this level, not all patients will. So start small, go slow, and dose to the needs of the patient. So if you're engaging in consuming medical cannabis, the book is The Survivor's Guide to Medical Cannabis by Regina Nelson. She is a Ph.D. and she's got some knowledge on this stuff. And I think she even has her own little company, CEO of Integral Education and Consulting LLC. Ah, yes. So, and she's also leading a sexual health and cannabis study that she launched in 2018. So this book is a little bit older. Let me see if I can actually find what date this was copywritten. It should be in the very beginning of the book. And you know what? It's not, because that would make sense, wouldn't it? So I don't actually know the specific year that this book was published. Ah, there it is. Copyright 2018, Regina Nelson. So it was 2018. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I appreciate each and every one of you simply for existing.